we'll just look at it. So what you're going to do, this is a 2-week assignment. All right. This is the first week of the assignment. Okay. And what you're going to do is complete this chart here that is as completely as possible over the course of the next week. And it's a chart of different kinds of media that you may be consuming. Now, I have a Word doc for you, and it's a good one to download because you can customize it. And you'll see what I mean when I look at this one. Like, let's take a look at this one because this is the PDF version. If you can't deal with a Word doc, then you can download the PDF version. And as soon as it comes in here, we'll take a look at it. So here's the media consumption chart. All right. So you have a column here of days, and then you have a row here of different media. This is the PDF version, right? Now, the reason why I give you the Word doc is that maybe you don't watch a movie on DVD or physical media, right? Or you don't watch any television from these sources. Well, why should you gum up your display with this? So you can delete this and put in something else. Like maybe I watched a movie on Roku, or I watched a movie on I watched something on my game console or something like that, right? So you can customize the Word doc, and I would encourage you to do that. But if you can't do the Word doc, well, then you can, since this isn't loading, since you can't, if you can't do the Word doc, then you have this PDF version, right? There are some important things here is that you put the date. So let's say you start today. No, let's start tomorrow because that's a full day. So here it is, Wednesday. You would start here, put in the date, and then Friday, Saturday, and go in the date. Okay. So you go in there, and then you total up the time, and you put the time for the whole week right there for that platform. So maybe you went to see a movie, or maybe you, let's see, listen to broadcast radio, or different podcasts you viewed. All right, you put in time here, and the time here, and time, and there, right? And so when you get done with your chart, right? This says other, specifying this is a small space, right? So if you have the Word doc, you can put in other things that you like, you think that are good. And if you want, you can even break some of these out. Like I spent this time on Facebook and Twitter, but you could break them out into individual things if you happen to spend a lot of time on them, right? So you're totaling up weekly per platform across this. And then you're also going to total up here. Excuse me. Okay. So you're going to do daily totals. So you have all of these different time here. And at the end of the week, how much time did I spend Sunday on media, on all media? How much time did I spend Monday on all media, right? And then you're going to total across this right here. And that's why there's a dark line here, right? How much did I spend with all media during the survey period? During the total time that I was, taking numbers, logging this in, how much total time on all media there. Okay. So please record specific media you're consuming in each category. You could write in the back, you could create a list, you can modify the Word document, you can take a picture, if because some people, they have to print it up, do it old school, or they're writing it out, right? And so you can take a picture and send to me, not next week, but the week after when it's due, right? But it can tell you a lot personally how you use media. Don't worry about what it means. Just do the numbers. Don't worry about what it means yet. What it means is your assignment for next week. All right. But it's important that you take accurate logging of all your media use. So accurate logging for this is considered hours and minutes on each one of those squares. Or you can do hours and quarter hours, because quarter hours is a methodology used in real survey taking. Now, for our digital students, don't know what a quarter hour is. It's every quarter of an hour, so that would be 15 and 30 and 45 and 00, the top of the hour. So you could say I did this activity for 1 3/4 hours, or I did this activity for 1 1/2, or I did this activity for 1 1/4. I'll take that, right? But those are the only kinds of things I'll be accepted. If you to come up and say, I did this activity for an hour, this one for 2 hours, this one for 3 hours, this one for 1 hour, I'll consider that kind of inaccurate. All right. Because nobody watches something for exactly 1 hour. Now I get it. So maybe you did watch a TV show for exactly 1 hour, but if I see round numbers on all of your entries over the whole survey, it'll probably not be considered accurate. All right, so try to be as accurate as possible. And I want a daily total of your media use, and I want an overall total. Right, that was that box down there at the bottom down here, right? That box down here. I want an overall total of your media use during the week, right? And I'll collate the data later on. Save the survey. Save the survey. You're not submitting your survey results this week. All right, just taking a survey. You will submit your survey results the following week with your analysis of your media usage. And that's in module 4, part B. This is part A. So just worry about part A this week. And I do encourage you to get it started this week. Because like I say, if you wait and wait and wait and wait, all of a sudden it's going to come crashing down the end, your survey data will be less accurate, and maybe even your analysis, right? Are we tracking okay, so I'm going through here. So all I'm okay, I'm going to go through all the chat here and try to answer your questions here. Do we measure by hours we spent? I think I covered that, right? Hours and minutes if you can, or hours, a quarter hours, right? Um, do all the boxes have to be filled? No. You can edit the boxes. I encourage you to edit the boxes. That's why I'm giving you this version, because when you get it on your computer, you can edit it to your heart's content. If you take it in a PDF version, you're going to have to strike out things and write in things. But I do encourage you to edit it to your media consumption, because like, gee, we may not go to a movie theater. You may not feel comfortable doing that yet, right? So you don't need that one, and you may not be watching actual television or something like that, right? And there may be suggestions on that aren't on there that you definitely do all the time, and you can break it out as much as you want. Ahmed's asking, do we track 7 days or 14? It's just 5, 6, 7, 7. So it's the first week. All right, first week. And the second week, you're writing your analysis of it. You're looking at it and going, well, and we'll talk about that next week. All right. Do you think the score average will be higher than other years? You mean, I don't get, Haziel, what you mean, the average, well, look, it's interesting because once I collate the data, I'll um, I will give you numbers of past semesters too. And it's not, I'm not going to try to project it right now. It's interesting to me as somebody, I'm into surveys, right? It's interesting to me to see the difference, right? In the total hours that's used during the week, or the types of media usage used by students over different semesters, and then to try to figure out why. Right? Why was that? Was it because everybody was at home watching Netflix and Hulu because of COVID? Is it because sometimes there's things like we do the survey in the Super Bowl week, right? And so that changes everything for some students. I think it changed for some students when we did it during Ramadan, right? So different periods, different things that are going on in our culture can change it. And so to answer your question, yeah, I think it will be different. It is every semester, and to find out every quarter and find out why it's different. And consumption from year to year, that is hard to do, because what we're going to do an accurate consumption from year to year means that you're going to have to do the survey again. right? So there's two ways to do that. Boy, we're deep into survey, and you see, I'm getting charged by this. One of them is to go back to the exact respondents and to survey them again, right? So that's one method. The other method is to have a large pool, and that pool is defined by demographics and age, and things like psychographics. We'll get into that, but use of your lifestyle kind of things. You have this large pool, and the individuals in that large pool may change the second time that you do that, that you try to get similar kinds of numbers and a similar breakout of the types of users. Okay, so there's that kind of way to do that. But I will give you data. I mean, I will say, okay, well, this semester here was this many hours, and or excuse me, quarter here was this many hours. This quarter here was so many hours, and things like that. Um, so we can kind of track it. Yeah, and I think it's true that the COVID thing might be an interesting kind of reason to say that some of the media is happening and some of it isn't. But we'll get to that. And we've already got people going. I think Drew is saying I think and it's increasing overall. The numbers will tell us. All right. I think these are all great speculations. I dig it. I really do. Um, uh, but the data will reveal what we get. And then, if something happens that, you know, the data points to something that we didn't expect, that's the cool part, because then we can sit there and go, now, why is that? I thought there would be more media consumption and it wasn't. Why is that? Or I didn't think there'd be that much media consumption, but it's way more than we expected. Why is that? And that's the kind of neat thing about this. This is also another part of research. You know, some people, when they're doing research paper, they take surveys like this, but come on, we're in the media department, right? We're in film and television. And these are this survey is very similar to the types of surveys we do in our media surveys too, of both film and television and radio. So um, this is kind of a neat exercise. Does reading textbooks for classes count as media? I guess it would. Any of the media that we're studying. So that would be books, magazines, and they may not be on there on my original list. All right. I've had students go, I spent a lot of time online because of Canvas, right? Because of my classes, because of Zoom. And frankly, I would kind of break things out. If I had the Word document, I would break it out. Here's time I spent online doing educational things, parentheses, Zoom, Canvas, Google Classroom or whatever you're using. And then I would have a second breakout. Here's online places I went for entertainment, and you could name specifically places or just have a category for, here's where I went to waste my time or entertain myself. And you might even break things down like, well, here's time I spent going to YouTube, because I mean that's just kind of a breakout category, standout category on its own, right? And so you can decide how you want to break it out. But if you spend a lot of time like on TikTok, right? Break it out into its own category so we can take a look at it. That's okay. You know, it's kind of be as honest as you can. But yeah, textbooks and all your educational media does count as media use, because Davina, Davina's asking, what if we slightly change our habits during this 1 week? Don't do that. Try not to do that. Or if you do, if you know that you do, make note of it in your analysis. It's like, oh my goodness, I was aghast at all the time I spent on this social media, so I stopped doing it, right? I would encourage you not to do that, but if you do notice that you're doing that, cop to it in your analysis. All right, because that's an important part of your analysis, is to, did anything surprise you? All right. You are it's not on this page, but when you get, I think it's in the part B, it doesn't matter. We're not judging you, right? I think it makes it more, I think it makes you more interesting. If you have a quirk, all right, whatever that quirk is. I'm bookish. I read I read a lot of books, so I spent a lot of time studying, or I spent a lot of time on YouTube. I spent a lot of time on TikTok. I spent a lot of time reading newspapers, because I'm old school. I think those quirks are what makes us individuals, and um, I think that's kind of cool. So don't worry about the way we judge you. Nobody's going to see your data except me. All right. And I do go back over and say, oh, here's some things I glommed off of people's um, work, schoolwork. I'm not going to be naming names, okay, by any means. So don't, so your data is going to be anonymous to the rest of the class. All right. So I hope that's okay, right? All right. Any other, these are great questions. Any other kind of questions? Any other kind of things we want to cover?